Hello there, welcome to the Football Bloc. My name is Brandon. Today we're going to look back at the 2022 World Cup semifinals, and I'm going to react to my predictions. If that sounds interesting, then let's hop right into it. So the 2022 World Cup semifinals has come to a close. We have the final set up as well as the third place match. And I guess the biggest takeaway from these two matches, these two, statement wins, is that the final will now be contested by the best two teams in the tournament. And in the end of the day, that's pretty much what we all want to see. We want to see the best of the best going at it at the World Cup. And that's ultimately what we have set up here. So let's look into these two matches, see what happened, see how my predictions went. And first off, let's start off with Argentina versus Croatia in a match that can be described as David versus Goliath. And I mean, both of these matches really can be described as David versus Goliath, where Argentina, obviously, pre-tournament, one of the pre-tournament favorites. People had lots of expectations for this team. And yes, they lost their opening match against Saudi Arabia, but they quickly picked up steam and then, you can argue are the best team in the World Cup. The only other team that I feel like you can argue is better is France, who we'll talk about in a bit, versus Croatia, who, and many times it looked like they were going to get eliminated. It looked like they were going to get eliminated against Belgium. It looked like they possibly could get eliminated versus Japan. And they were down and out against Brazil. And yet in each of these matches, they did not give up. They did not surrender. They kept fighting. And now they are here in the semifinals. I think that the fact that Croatia just doesn't give up, the fact that they keep playing, it kind of shows that this is a team that probably shouldn't have been in the semifinals. And I say that with all respect. They fully deserved to be here, but I think if you just look at how they played today, it kind of shows that they probably shouldn't have been here, in the sense that they were tired, they were dead, they were, almost dead in the water at one point. I thought Argentina played amazing overall. I thought Argentina played really well, but a big part of that was also because Croatia just couldn't handle it. They extended all of their energy in eliminating Brazil, and obviously credit to them for making it this far. I didn't think that they would make it this far. I don't think most people didn't. But the way that this match went, it just seemed that Argentina, they dominated the match. They played professionally. They played intelligently. They didn't overexert themselves. But at the same time, there was only one team that was going through. Croatia did have some chances early on. They dominated, maybe not dominated, but they played well. They held on to the ball. And then all it took was one Argentinian attack, foul in the box. Next thing you know, Messi steps up for the penalty. Messi scores. As always, Messi's been absolutely on fire. We'll talk a little bit more about Messi in just a bit. But from then on, Julian Alvarez scored the second goal for Croatia. He did get a little lucky, but obviously he made his own luck by pushing and just running the ball without giving up. He didn't care, how many defenders were on him. He did get, a little fortunate with the way that the ball bounced. Sosa really slipped there. And the ball kind of fell, fortunately, for Alvarez. But still, it was a great run. He showed sheer determination and win. I think that is the difference between this Argentinian team and past Argentinian teams, is while the talent is there, there's always been talent, this team has more grit, more determination, more ambition than the ones before. Julian Alvarez pushed through the Croatian defenders, was able to poke the ball into the net. And from that moment on, Croatia was down and out. I almost felt bad for them, considering how well they played up until this point. But Argentina was clearly the better team, and then they just piled on the pressure from there. Into the second half, we saw one of the best dribbles you will ever see. Messi completely tore apart Guardiola, who you can argue has been the best defender of the tournament, and he didn't really do anything wrong. He did everything he's supposed to do, with shielding the ball and trying to, keep the ball away, trying to, give space to the attacker without really trying to, foul him or push him or get caught too close. And yet Messi was just too quick. Messi's dribbles were just too accurate, too pinpoint. He was able to glide past him and then play a perfect ball to Alvarez, who made it 3-0. And then at that point, it was game, set, match. Croatia did have some chances towards the end to try and gain a consolation goal, but nothing really serious. And with that, Argentina convincingly go into the final. Now, my prediction was that Argentina would win 1-0. I thought it'd be a really, really close game. I thought it would come down to the wire, maybe even to extra time, and that a Messi free kick or penalty would settle the score. Now, Messi did score a penalty, but this game couldn't be anything but tight and, just tense, because it was domination from minute 1 to minute 90 from Argentina. And that's not to say that Croatia played bad. They played their hearts out, as always. They do that in every single match. But you can tell there was visible fatigue, there was visible tiredness on the field, and then that just contributed to Argentina playing as good as they did. And Argentina, like I said, deservedly find themselves in the final. All right, now let's look on to the second matchup, and we have France versus Morocco in yet another David versus Goliath matchup, where we have France, who are defending champions. They've been storming through the tournament, and then Morocco, who eliminated Spain and Portugal to make it all the way to the World Cup semifinals. The first African team, the first Arab team to ever make it this far in the tournament. And they built that all upon this great defense. They, up until this match, only conceded one goal, one solitary goal through all the matches that they played, and it was an own goal. Not even from an opposition player. They only conceded from a goal from a mistake, essentially, versus France, who, yes, France has some issues at the back, but going forward, France was almost unstoppable, particularly Kylian Mbappe and also Olivier Giroud, both of whom sit on 4 goals and 5 goals. 5 goals for Mbappe, 4 goals for Giroud. And, they were crushing teams and, blowing away all the smaller opposition. And they squeaked by against England. It wasn't the most convincing performance, but they still found a way to win. And going into this match, I expected the match to come down to the wire. I thought it was going to be super tight. I thought it was going to be another 1-0 victory, but I thought it was going to be for Morocco. I thought Morocco were going to continue the Cinderella story. I thought they were going to make it all the way to the final. I thought all the home fans, all the Moroccans that are there cheering for them, as well as everyone in the Arab world who has come to Qatar to support Morocco, I thought that would push them far. And honestly, I think Morocco did play better than France. I do think Morocco was the better team, but ultimately France was more clinical. I think France found a way to play through Morocco's plan, their defensive structure. They did score the first open play, or the first opposition goal against Morocco, and they scored 2. They ended up winning 2-0. It wasn't a dominant win from France, but it was, an important and crucial win, obviously. The game plan for Morocco was completely ruined almost in the first few minutes when Kylian Mbappe dribbled through several Moroccan defenders, and then he couldn't get the shot off. Morocco was able to shield him off the ball, but in the chaos that ensued, the ball bounced around, and then it fell kindly to Theo Hernandez, who was able to scissor kick it into the goal. Now, I think Bono probably could have came out and swallowed up the ball, but still, it's not like a clear and obvious error from Bono. Still, a good finish from Theo Hernandez. But from that point, that kind of ruined Morocco's play, because Morocco wanted to do what they always do in all their matches that they played up to this tournament, and where they just sit back, they absorb the pressure, they let the other team have the ball, but they really stifle them from creating clear chances, and then they just ride out that stalemate until they eventually score on one of their breakaways, and then they tend to be very clinical. This time now, they were the ones that were put on the front foot. They had to go attack because they were down one. And also, they had never conceded a goal like this so early on. They never really were behind. I don't think they were never behind at any point up until this point. And they really had to change their game plan. And they came close. I thought they dominated the end of the first half. Even though France had a few chances on the counter, I thought Morocco dominated the first half. And then they were especially the better team in the second half with I believe is how you pronounce it is El Yamik almost scored a bicycle kick. He's a backup center back, by the way, and then off a corner, he almost scored a bicycle kick where he came up and then lobbed the ball over his head and it hit the post. Now, it looked like it may have taken a slight touch off of Lloris's finger, and if that is true, then it is one of the best saves of the tournament. But that would have equalized the score, and I think if Morocco would have equalized, they would have had the entire stadium on their side. They probably would have gone on to win the game, but unfortunately they could not. They had some really close half chances. They didn't have, like, that many clear shots, but they got into some really dangerous positions. There were some really nervy moments for the French back line, but ultimately they could not put it away, and I think that is more so due to Morocco just not used to playing this way. They are not used to being the team that has the ball in their court that is basically trying to push forward and win on their own accord. And then with a counterattack, Mbappe broke away again, and then with a good build-up play, he was able to get a shot off. The shot took a deflection, found its way to Kolo Muani. Really lucky deflection there, but he was able to put it away. Morocco lose 2-0, they go 2-0 down, and France are able to hold on to that lead, and they go through. And ultimately, you can argue that Morocco maybe have a slightly better team overall if you just look at their defense, but I think, as weak as France's defense can be at times, I think they're ultimately the better team. And at the end of the day, like I said at the beginning of this video, we have France versus Argentina in the final, which is the two best teams facing off to either win or finish runners-up in this World Cup final coming up. So in the end of the day, it pretty much evened out in that we have Argentina versus France. Now, obviously, it would have been cool to see Morocco in the final, but we have to be realistic. The World Cup is a trophy that has a strict hierarchy. It's not often that you see a team even get this far, let alone have a chance of winning the entire trophy. So obviously all the credit to Morocco, and ultimately these were two interesting games. It was really cool to see such underdogs make it this far in both Croatia and Morocco, as well as how their game plans were challenged considering how solid both of these teams were. And at the same time, we saw Messi and Mbappe, and as well as, Giroud and Alvarez and all the other stars on the big teams really show up. So ultimately, very good semifinals. Let me know what you thought of the semifinals. How did your predictions go? And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with a friend. Anyway, guys, my name is Brandon. This has been the Football Bloc. Hope you guys have a nice rest of your night.